Welcome to In Pursuit Of. My guest, Manisha Gupta, is a social entrepreneur and she's the founder of Startup. And Manisha is in pursuit of
a world where women leaders emerge from every nook and cranny, create wealth, create value, drive democracy, and give us new leadership templates to follow.
So how do you pursue this?
I pursue this through Startup, which is a social enterprise that I set up 13 years ago. And we partnered with nonprofits, we partner with philanthropies, with social enterprises, with grassroots groups to really co-create strategy and leadership programs that enable agency for every unseen citizen of the country.
So give me some example, so that it's more clear.
So we actually work with organizations and we work with them over a period of 6 to 9 months to work in a very immersive way where we build organization strategies. Usually strategy gets created for over a period of 5 years. We do recognize that when organizations invite us as a partner to design strategy for them, they are at a very critical inflection point in their journey. So we really kind of work together with organizations to step into the next level of the wicked problems and complexities. And how we do this, it's a full amalgamation of organizational assessments, of really looking at what is the sector on the outside seeking, and then sort of really doing a lot of design workshops with organizations, which then give us a broad wireframe. But we also know that a strategy can't just be up in the air. It also has to drop roots down into the ground so that it can be implemented. So we work with every program team of the organization to then ensure that the strategy that is big picture, actually gets broken up into specific innovations, into program goals, objectives. By the end of the whole process, we really end up serving as the strategy leadership team of the organization. And we have the impact strategy in place, we have the organizational strengthening strategy in place, the fundraising and the strategic communication strategy in place. And, strategy then really becomes the site for leaders to develop, for the second line to sort of really come together and say, we are now going to take responsibility for implementing it.
Right.
So that in a nutshell is pretty much, what we do.
I would love to know an example of where you've done this.
Sure. So, we partnered with Swayam Shikshan Prayog, which is a very large movement almost of grassroots rural women entrepreneurs in Maharashtra. SSP was led by, the pioneering Prema Gopalan, who we lost, at the time of COVID. They had really created a groundswell of rural women entrepreneurs who had reached a certain level of growth, but were really now looking to kind of take leadership positions in their markets at the district level, at the block level. They felt they were ready to then negotiate with Gram Panchayats and, local governance. And that was the time when we came in to really say that, let's redefine entrepreneurship through our strategy process. Way back then in 2010, 2011, entrepreneurship was, very, very trade specific. It was really about, poultry. It was about washing powder. It was a trade-based activity. But through conversations with hundreds of rural women entrepreneurs on the ground, entrepreneurship for them was really leadership. It was really empowerment. It was really voice.
Wow.
And we said, this is the definition of entrepreneurship that must define the strategy, how women entrepreneurs emerge to create wealth and value in their society. And so we went on to develop 1 or 2 rounds of strategy for Swayam Shikshan Prayog, then set up VELI, which is an acronym for Women's Empowerment and Leadership Institute. And that was where we worked with the women to create a whole school of entrepreneurship and leadership. We recognize that women do business differently. But what obstructs women from doing business is also the lack of gender lens in, the business ecosystem. And, so that had a whole model of leadership, empowerment, business management, peer-to-peer coaching by relatable mentors. And that then went on to be a model that we are so proud of. And today it's really become a space of, I think, more than 30,000 rural women entrepreneurs who have emerged, if not more, and are now serving as leaders.
Wow, Manisha, that's pretty phenomenal. The government is trying to promote women entrepreneurs. There are lots of incubations which are women specific, etc. But when you talk about a business ecosystem for women that encourages women, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, one statistic that I want to share with you that we are all very excited about is that women's labor force participation has gone up to now 32.6%, and we are all like really cheering. But if you really look at it, does this really mean that only 36.2% of our women are working? From there, if I were to go into the whole question of women's entrepreneurship, less than 10% of India's entire micro, medium social enterprises are owned by women, of which 90% are the small SH micro enterprises. Right, but they amount to, I think, they account for only 3% of entrepreneurial, output in the country. So is it because women are not capable? Because actually we need to remember that through COVID, when men sort of returned home in absolute distress, they had no practice and they had no understanding of what work from home meant. It was the women across India's countryside.
They did exceptionally well.
Yeah, they scaled their micro enterprises. They were the first to actually start using, WhatsApp as a business platform. They went out there and, they kind of stitched masks, and the mask production went up, and they were the ones who were putting food on the table, but they were also then, experiencing intense violence. So women of our country are actually the farmers. They run homesteads. They are, small livestock managers. So they are entrepreneurial by birth. Right. So the whole dialogue and conversation about women's entrepreneurship has typically tended to be, let's pump up the women with leadership skills. Let's capacitate them. And women are saying, sure, we need training, but also train the other ecosystem players to deal with us. So we are ready for technology, but are the technology people ready to see us as their customers? So we really need to start listening to the women entrepreneurs themselves and really hear from them on what they need as ecosystem that will be conducive and enabling. And if you hear them, there are two things that they are saying. First, recognize us, give us visibility. Right? We are actually the backbone of India's agrarian economy. See us like that. See us as farmers, not as helpers. And second, build a gender mindset among all the ecosystem guys.
In your organization, you have different verticals. One of them, I believe, is a fellowship. Which one are you focusing on at this moment?
In terms of flagship, truth be told, we strategy for grassroots change is our flagship work.
Sure.
But the one vertical that we are looking to grow, and we are seeing a growth in the sector, is fellowships. So before I started startup, I spent 10 years of my most formative years in Ashoka Innovators for the Public, and the Ashoka Fellowships. I learned how enabling fellowships can be. You really understand that here is an individual who may set up an organization that will create lasting transformation, may choose to actually become part of a government system, may want to work as a catalyst with grassroots movements. It's about time that we really start to say that if you want to be a change maker, you do not always need to set up an organization or a business. You can be a cultural entrepreneur, you can be a storyteller, you could be a media maker, and and that is what I am really, really excited with right now, which is our fellowship vertical. So we partnered with Commonweal, which is an organization in the US, to really design and bring the Aura Fellowships in India, which is, I do believe, the first of its kind, that is, at least in India, that's really looking for artists, media makers, cultural entrepreneurs, folks who are bringing design and data together to really create narratives on the ground with and for communities. We worked for 5 years with CII Foundation to design and run the Woman Exemplar program. These were women who had really, really, who had been survivors, and who had really created leadership, resources, movements out of thin air.
Seriously.
We've also worked with the Ford Foundation to run the Ford Global Fellowship Program.
How long has this fellowship been running?
So the Aura Fellowship in India has now been running for 2 years.
Right.
So it's really, really new, and we are looking to we are very excited about launching the third cohort. A large part of our fellowship is also about building a community of practice,
Right.
and creating the community of fellows. Right. So while of course there is a financial aspect to the Aura Fellowship, but we co-create retreats, we co-create leadership programs, we do strategy building with our fellows, and it's only now we are beginning to talk about how narrative building and storytelling is going to be the next frontier of change. Storytelling also is about who is telling the story.
You are obviously working with people who want to bring change, but how do you as an organization measure impact?
Very quickly, I realized that the best answer would be an honest answer. We are also very clear that by creating strategies, you don't create any impact that is visible, quantifiable. It's really the commitment of our partner organization, their teams, their ownership, the energy with which they execute the strategy. So at no point of time do we say, because of our strategy, so many people, so many women have emerged as leaders. That is not for us to say. That is for our partner organizations to come back and report.
Sure.
A pioneering organization, in the field of self-learning, sort of, we worked with them for to build the 5-year strategy from 2015 to 2020. That was the strategy period, and the goal there was impacting the lives of 4 million young people with 21st century skills and self-learning. And the founder of that organization called us in 2021 to say, I really want to share with you that we have met that goal. And we have done it in a way that was cohesive, that ensured that we stayed on course because of the strategy frameworks that you created. Another way in which we can say, we measure our success is that actually about 92% of all strategies that we have created have been lived and executed on the ground. And more than 50% of the organizations have then called us back to do the second cycle of strategy. So that's how we really shape impact. We can say that the fellowships that we co-created with our partners has really served as a springboard for more than 500 to 600 change leaders. Now, in a world of scale, you can say it's a small number. But, this is really deep work that we do with fellows who have then gone on to create ripples of impact. We really do believe that the impact of organizations, उसका श्रेय organizations को ही जाता है, वो हम attribute नहीं कर सकते खुद के लिए.
Absolutely fair. So Manisha, do you end up working more women-led organizations, or do you do so consciously, or it just happens?
The universe just conspired, or maybe it was just, sort of my true north. But this year we celebrated our 13th birthdays. We went back and we said, who are all the organizations that we have truly partnered with in a deep way. And across board, 90% of the organizations that we have worked with are led by women. 100% of the organizations focus on centering women's leadership and agency in their programs. Yeah. And of the wonderful male leaders of organizations that we have partnered with, they are perhaps more feminist in their approach than many women leaders themselves.
Goodness.
So I think the universe has just connected the dots and taken us to partners whose belief systems just truly align with ours.
How amazing. Thank you so much, Manisha. It's a pleasure knowing more about your organization, and we'll continue this conversation. Till then, keep watching and do subscribe to In Pursuit of.